Thank you very much. If I would use the costing of services for particularly, assisted reproductive technology within Uganda, and I'll be corrected by the doctor if any. When you look at Mulago Specialized Women Neonatal Hospital, and that is where the first point of entry is for us. Just the ART counseling goes for between 40 to 50,000. IVF goes from 13 million to 50 million. And if you want these figures, you can actually go. There is an article by the Daily Monitor that published these numbers. And so, in itself, just the first conversation we are having in regards to our national hospital, the everyday Ugandan cannot afford. I think it was Rose that said a Ugandan at getting a salary of 500,000 really cannot afford. Will there be a regulation of finances or of access to this service when this bill shows up? I think that is a question Honorable Sarah Pendi would be in the most right place to say. Maybe what I can say then, as you know, the necessity builds, there'll actually be a need to constantly review, improve the bill or law if it's passed, and to address emerging issues, the realities of class, because there are people that can afford it. So those class realities of then, I mean, giving birth or having children will be only negated to people who can afford it. And whereas it sounds like that should be the ideal, that you don't give birth to children you can't manage, but the reality is children still show up. And so to make it equal, or to make it accessible for all the others, then legislators like Honorable Sarah Pendi would be then advocating within the bills to make sure that beyond monopolizing the sector, that we provide for it in any case as any other healthcare service. But I'm also alive, and we all are on this call, to the reality that even our healthcare service really is struggling on that end. And so while we have a very privileged bill on the floor of parliament, we must be alive to the fact that we are actually not regulating our public services within the hospitals where we want this law to work. That healthcare in Uganda is equally expensive, even before we talk about fertility. Because if I brought a last mile community woman here, should be telling us this is a privileged conversation we are having on people who can afford it, people who can go to neonatal specialized hospitals to be able to have these children. But also, it reminds me of the story of the 70-year-old who had children via surrogacy, and what then that speaks for segregation of, single women, younger women, and older women in making sure that they can actualize having families. So it's a bit contextual and discriminatory, and a build up into class issues and class realities. Are we saying that every Ugandan has 30 million on their disposal to acquire a child? And Rose said, with the quote that it might be successful or not. So those dynamics that show up in such a bill must be interrogated.